All right, boys. So we have just one option for a guide tonight. We are going to go ahead and go into practice mode, and I'm going to give you a whole rundown on boost skipping, boost gasping, drifting, how power affects everything, how to manage your power, and how that movement and that power management helps you win everything. Everything is better. Every role, objective, interceptor, like support, AI farm, everything is better when you have your movement absolutely perfect and know everything and know how like your ship responds to different levels of throttle and power and everything. Everything matters too. Cool vibes. Hey, Thankar, I just want to tell you my friend has been struggling to play the game, so I just sent him your videos. He just did 21,000 cap ship damage with only 3 deaths in the TIE bomber, so thank you so much. He loves the game now and is so excited. That's fucking awesome. I'm super glad to hear that. All right. So anyway, we're going to go in and I'm going to show you in an A-wing first how this works. So he doubled all his old records. That's freaking awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna stop looking at chat for a bit, just so I can I'm gonna ignore things that aren't directly relevant to this, just so we can stay on topic for the guide. So we need to understand a couple of things about our ship, right? So first, we need to understand how to boost and drift. So to drift, you tap the boost button, hold the drift button, and that's how you drift. And you just keep holding it until drift is over. Tap, hold, right? Tap, hold. Pretty straightforward. There are a couple of control things that you want to make sure that you have set up. So let's go over these really quickly. So throttle down to stop boosting, disabled. This is what this does is if you throttle down even 1%, it'll cancel your boost and it won't drift. Next, drift input mode, hold. So hold is better because what you can do with hold is you can hold it and you let go when you want to, and you go to a particular, and you stop at a particular place. You stop your drift at a particular point in your drift. So if I want to land right on top of the shield generator, I drift, I hold, I let go, and I can shoot the shield generator, and I just kind of bounce off, and I don't take any damage. Whereas if I am on double tap, so if I could go controls, double tap, I kind of like slam against stuff because I can't control my drift as well. This is mostly important for This is important for controllers and flight sticks, not so much for mouse and keyboard, so it's a little bit harder for me to show there, but that's how it works. You want to keep it on hold so you have more control over your ship. Okay, next under the controls, we have just general power management. I use advanced. All of these techniques you can do with basic. I'm going to show it with advanced just because that's the way I've been practicing, that's what I'm comfortable with. But you can do everything with basic, just ignore where the other 4 pips are. Got it? Cool. Basic is like 95% effective. You only get an extra 5% from using advanced power management. These are extra. Occasionally, yeah, this is not important for that what we're talking about right now. The other really important control thing for everything is, I can't show it here, but on your, if you have a Xbox or PlayStation controller that you have, this will all be part of the video. Yeah, this will all be part of the video. Then rebind your boost from clicking the left stick, this thing, to another button like left trigger, or like if you have one like a paddle or something. The reason for that is because if you boost with your left stick and you drift with your left stick, you can't also use your thumb on this D-pad here in order to convert your power to different areas while also boosting and drifting, and then you'll see why that's very important in a second. Okay, now with the controls all out of the way, let's look at what actually happens to your boost energy when you're boosting and drifting. So I'm going to boost, cancel the boost, boost, cancel boost. Notice what's happening to my energy. Every time I cancel the boost, my boost energy pauses for about a half second. And for that half second, it doesn't regenerate. Now here's what happens when I put my power into weapons. My boost energy also, not only does it not regenerate during that half second when I cancel my boost, it also doesn't decay. I'm going to show it with drift now. So boost drift, it's not decaying. It's flashing, so it's harder to see, but it's not decaying. See? It does it so for about a half second after you start a boost or after you start a drift, it doesn't regenerate and it doesn't decay. It just stays right where it is, regardless of if you have your power in engines or if you have your power in weapons. So here's what this allows us to do. If we put our power in weapons or shields, right? I'm going to just use weapons for this example. If we boost and we drift, and we boost and we drift, and we boost and we drift, and we time these perfectly so that our boost energy never passively decays, then we can actually move extremely efficiently around the map while maintaining a very high speed and also having a lot of weapon energy. So let me break that down a little bit here about each of those pieces. So first off, right, speed, okay? So if I put my power in weapons, the fewer pips I have in engines, the more I hold my momentum when I drift. This is called a dead drift, when you remove all power from your engines and you just have, and then you execute the boost and then the drift. It's called a dead drift because what you're doing is you're cutting all of your engines out so that you don't have any acceleration. So you're kind of drifting dead in space as you like fall back here, and eventually my speed slowly goes all the way down to 0 and then back up again. Again, with power not in engine stall, right? You can see how I slowly come to a stop and I just keep going in the same direction for a very long time. This is more pronounced on TIE fighters and bombers and interceptors, but you can still see what's going on in the A-Wing. For contrast, here's a drift with maximum power in engines. You can see how it doesn't last quite as long. The speed goes down pretty quickly from 250 to 0 compared to this kind of a dead drift. So speed-wise, when you have your power in other systems like this, let's do a quick test. I'm gonna build up 2 boost bars, and I'm gonna go towards the MC-75 from about 3,000 away. And I'm gonna see how far 2 boost bars takes me. So on my targeting computer, I'm 2,800 away, and now I'm gonna boost right here. So I built up 4 boost bars. I'm boosting. Used up a little more than 2 boost bars, just a little bit, and I went from 2,800 to about 1,200. Now let's try the same thing, this time with boost skipping. So I'm just gonna boost skip out here to move. And I just want to note that I'm going to do it from a little bit farther away. So remember, 2,800 to about 1,200 last time, and this time it's 3,000. So the difference last time was about 1,800 units. So, let me start again, 1 second. Mess it up a little bit there. I got ahead of myself. Okay, so we're starting from 2,600. So last time, 2,800 to 1,200, so about 1,600 units is how far we got last time. We're starting from 2,600 this time. We started with 3.5 boost bars. And we basically made it all the way to the MC-75 with the same amount of energy, which is about 2,600 units instead of that 1,600. So a lot more efficient, more than 50% more efficient than just boosting straight. So this is already looking really strong for just this boost tech. And this is called boost skipping. Why? Because you kind of like do these little skips in space with this boost. This is just the quickest possible boost then drift, boost then drift, boost then drift. And you kind of have this zigzag pattern through space as you do this. Boost and drift, boost and drift, boost and drift, boost drift, boost drift. And it's very simple to execute because all you're doing is making sure your power is away from engines, and then you're boosting, drifting, boosting, drifting, boosting, drifting, boosting, drifting. Okay, so as a quick side note, executing this boost drift, a lot of people have had problems with this. So check your input devices. Try putting boost on same keys, different keys. Some people have weird issues with Razor Tartarus Pros. There's a lot to cover there, and I'm not going to be able to cover it in this video, but just know that if you have any problems, try asking around your community, try asking someone for help there if you have any problems. Once you get it solved, you should be able to do it very consistently like this. It takes some practice, but it's very, very doable for everyone, and I mean everyone. Anyone can double click a mouse, anyone can do this. Same concept, double click a mouse, double click your, all of this stuff. So, now that we have boost skipping out of the way, let's talk about boost gasping. So boost gasping is very similar in concept to boost skipping, except you're also regenerating energy. Moodmaster, I'll get to your question after this show. So boost gasping, which I'm demonstrating here, instead, so we established previously that we have a cooldown time where your boost energy doesn't decay, right? And we abuse that for boost skipping by just never having it passively decay and just chaining boosts over and over and over and over, like skipping across the pond without sinking. So with boost gasping, you're drifting, gasping for air, drifting again, gasping for boost energy, drifting, gasping for boost energy, drifting, gasping for boost energy. And by doing this, you not only charge other systems, like my weapons are pretty much full, and my shields are pretty much full, my engines are also pretty much full. And my engines continue to be full, and my engines continue to even gain a little bit more energy over time. So this is a really fantastic map traversal tool for anyone, for any ship. Any ship can do this. Any ship. Even the B-Wing. Never fly a B-Wing, but even the B-Wing can do this. What am I actually doing here as far as button inputs? Well, there's 3 main steps to this technique. First, you are putting your power away from engines and boosting and drifting all at the same time, okay? So that might be a lot of inputs for advanced power management users. It might seem a little overwhelming. It's not, trust me, it's very simple. So if you are on simple power management, and most of you are, and that's perfectly okay, you get 95% efficiency, and I'm serious when I say 95%. So, power to weapons, boost drift. That's step 1. Power to weapons, boost drift, all at the same time. So here's what it looks like in motion again. And again in motion. You can't see it, but the little up arrow is highlighting every time I do that. It's just the same as boost skipping. Boost drift, but you're also putting power into weapons or into shields. I should be careful about this music. Let's do Journey West here. Okay. So, next thing, step 2. After a half second, you put your power back into engines. So, boost, put power into weapons, power into engines, and just watch that energy regenerate. Step 3 is just step 1 again. You boost with power and weapons, power and engines. Oops, I misdoing it here. Let me start again. So, power and weapons, boost, drift, wait a half second, power and engines, watch that boost come back. And you'll notice here that actually, side note, I'm stalling a lot when I boost here. And that happens sometimes. There are a lot of ways to get around this. The first, I'm just going to go over these really briefly. The first is to just boost twice in quick succession. The second is to boost for a length of time, long enough to get up to that reasonable speed. And the third is to just put your throttle to 0. And this doesn't work for Jareen for some reason, but it works for me. So I use this, and whenever I'm boost gasping across the map or anything, I just put my throttle to 0, and it just works. So anyway, back to boost gasping. So power to weapons, boost drift, power to weapons, boost drift, power to engines. 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 Some tips for executing this and finding your rhythm. It's because it's all about rhythm. It's not about speed, it's about rhythm. The inputs are very simple. It's about the timing and the execution. So you want to count to about a half second, so like a quick breath, and then you put your power in engines, and then another longer breath, and then you start your boost drift again. Another way to do it visually is I'm always watching my boost meter, and I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing and feeling the time when the boost energy decay, or boost energy regeneration starts. And I'm timing my power backed into engines at the same exact time as that decay starts, or that regeneration starts, so that when I put my power back into engines, I immediately see the bar start going back up. Now, the other way I do it is by speed. So by aircraft speed, right? With this dead drift, with 4 pips in engines, and it'll be different for 2 pips, so don't use this number, but as an example, I watch and I notice that when I'm putting power into engines, my speed is about 230. My speed is about 230 when I choose to put my power back into engines in order to mitigate that, in order to get that energy regen back that quickly. So you can use that number if you're struggling with the timing, or just in general. I recommend this. You can use the speed number on your dashboard, and it's different for every ship, to figure out when you're supposed to put your power back into engines. And you can do the same thing when you start to boost again. So I noticed that I tend to boost when my speed reaches a low of about 160. Right? About 160, 170 is when I start boosting again. That's my normal rhythm. Start boosting, power into engines at 230, boost at 160. So let's try it again. Power to engines, power engines 260, boost at boost drift, power to engines at 230, boost at 260. Power to engines 230, boost 160, 230, 160, 230, 160, 230, 160, 230, 160, 230, 160, 230, 170. I guess it's more like 170. So this is very like I'm having a little bit of trouble doing this while talking. And this just speaks to like, this is relatively difficult, even though it's very simple. Just work on it, find your rhythm, do it a bunch in practice mode, and try to do it correctly as much as you can. And when you get into games, stay calm. I get nervous all the time, and I mess this up all the time. The number one thing when you're doing this technique is to just stay calm and just steady, steady, steady. Because one of the really important, really powerful things with this technique is when you are out of a tank of boost energy. Let me just get like almost nothing here. This is a way to keep running away, keep being evasive when you have almost nothing. When you're 5 HP and you just need to survive for a few more seconds around the enemy cap ship to hold the morale phase so you can get like a shield generator or even kill the flagship. This is the technique you should be using. This is your bread and butter objective players for surviving in hostile environments during like endgame situations. It's very, very, very good. Now, we've got boost gasping covered. We've got boost skipping covered. Now we're going to talk about a couple of unique ship characteristics, and then we're going to talk about some unique ship components as we talk about those. So the A-Wing, right, doesn't really have anything special to it. I will note that that A-Wings in particular, and interceptors in particular, can benefit a lot from microthrust engines, which is what I'm running right now. Microthrust engines in order to turn a lot faster because your top speed matters much less when you're already moving between 260 and 160 meters per second all the time, probably an average of like 210 or 20 meters per second here. So microthrust to track your targets and to just be very evasive when you're boost skipping around. Like, this is more evasive than a defender, quite frankly, because both of your small hitbox and because of your turn rate and because of how quickly you're able to drift and stuff. Okay, so let's switch ships again over to, I'm gonna just lump the X-Wing and Y-Wing into one category just because the video is running a little bit long right now. So I'm gonna deploy in a jet engine X-Wing. So X-Wing, very similar to A-Wing in the sense of it has the same number of boosts per boost bar. Like, each of these 5 segments is worth the same as one of the A-Wing segments. It just spends them more when you boost continuously. What do I mean by boosting continuously? It's when you boost like this, when you just boost and you just hold it and you're continuously spending all that energy. Now, I did note I'm running jet engine. So what jet engine does is it doubles your boost recharge speed, and it also increases it more than doubles the speed at which you spend boost when you boost continuously, and that's it. The initial cost is not changed, nor is the decay over time. So it is the best engine because these techniques exist. It is the best engine, period, the end. Nothing compares to it. This is the god tier X-Wing and Y-Wing engine. Why is that? Because you get all of the benefits of speed by having increased boost regeneration. You move on average faster than a thrust engine X-Wing. You have your incredible boost regeneration, allows you to quickly get set for retreating while you're on attack run. So say I'm shooting at this MC-75. Blam, 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 blam. I unloaded about 3/4 of an overloaded X-Wing charge, and I already got to full boost energy, and I can do it again. Blam, 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 blam. And I just still have so much boost energy. I can just be incredibly inefficient with my boost energy. It doesn't even matter because I just have so much of it. So your bread and butter X-Wing attack pattern is blam, 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 blam. Boost skip away, 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 boost skip away. And then power back to engines, blam, 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 with all of those overcharged lasers that you have here. And again, this lets you charge all kinds of systems very, very quickly. All right, let's switch ships to the U-Wing. The only notable thing about the U-Wing is that it has extremely good. It's extremely good at dead drifting, holding momentum. You look at my speed gauge, see how slowly it decays when I have no power in engines. So it's a reasonable-ish candidate for slam engines, in truth, if you just want to like hold that momentum for a long time. But boost gasping is still the way to move in it because it does regenerate your energy over time. Slam engine is an interesting option. My teammate Nop does prefer standard engines quite a lot on it. It is your call. Yeah, that's all for that ship. The B-Wing is bad. Well, we can look at the B-Wing. So the B-Wing has an interesting characteristic where the B-Wing, if you boost in the opposite direction of your momentum, you'll actually stop for a second. You notice that my speed keeps going to 0. This is because the B-Wing is actually stopping. What I mean by stopping, I mean it's literally stopping in space. It's kind of hanging in space. You can see, right, its acceleration at the beginning is very stilted. Like, it's kind of jerking and then pushing itself forward. So it's a very strange ship to maneuver in. It's a very interesting ship to maneuver in. I think it feels very unique, but it's also very easy to get shot down because you don't have that instant rotation capability like those other ships I've shown you earlier. Let's go to the Y-Wing, last ship for right now. Y-Wing, super similar to the X-Wing, just a lower top speed. That's all I really have for it. Yep, it maneuvers extremely similar to the X-Wing, lower top speed. I will note that if you put power to engines and you let go, you do keep moving in the same direction for just a little bit, and we'll see why that's important when we look at the Imperials. So that's enough looking at Rebels for now. I want to make note that the SLAM engine, I'm not going to use it right now, but the SLAM engine doesn't really help that much, nearly as much as jet engine, just because the recharge rate on your boost bar is very, very, very slow when you don't have full boost engines. So it's good for maintaining some amount of boost. Some people prefer it. The Stracer kind of prefers it. Jet engine is incredibly solid. I recommend everyone use jet engine. Let's look at first the TIE Fighter. I'm only going to look at the TIE Fighter and the TIE Bomber and the Defender here. Interceptor is the same as the TIE Fighter. Reaper is the same as the U-Wing. So let's go with the TIE Fighter really quickly. The TIE Fighter, right? There's some interesting power management tricks to the TIE Fighter. So one of them I covered in my Ultimate Power Guide, link on YouTube in the description, and one of them I did not cover. So first off, you can do boost skipping, boost gasping, just like you would in an X-Wing, just like you would in an A-Wing. What I recommend on the TIE Fighter, if you're just trying to learn, is I would recommend boost skipping, shunting to engines, and then boost skipping everywhere with a burst laser primary. Boost skip everywhere, and then when you run out of energy, notice that I have a full overcharge bar of burst lasers by the time I run out of energy. So this is a very simple, straightforward way to maintain a lot of energy in your ship. The other thing to know about the ship is that it dead drifts much, much, much longer than most other ships. Imperial ships tend to do that when they have power in weapons. They have a lot more, they hold their momentum much, much better. They have a lot more inertia. So if you dead drift, you can dead drift for much, much longer than an A-Wing or a U-Wing or a Reaper, which is very strong when you're trying to do something like strafe a capital ship. More on specific TIE Fighter characteristics in my Unlimited Power video. The only other thing I want to note about about maneuverability in general is that in TIE Fighters in particular, if you put your power to engines and you let go of drift, you very quickly return to whatever speed your throttle is set to. So if I drift, power to engines, I very quickly go back to like medium or like a low speed. Very quickly back to here. Whereas if I keep my power and weapons, I let go, takes a little bit longer. So if I go here and I let go, a little bit more of a bump there. It's more prominent in TIE bombers. So the bomber, here's how you manage energy in a bomber. I'm using jet engine on this bomber. And the reason for that is that the rotary charges incredibly slowly. So instead of using fast charging weapons to charge the engines like I would in a TIE Fighter, I use fast charging engines to charge weapons. See, my boost bar regenerates in just over 6 or 7 seconds, and so I can then shunt balance, and I can fire my rotary, and I can shunt balance again and keep firing my rotary, and shunt balance again and keep firing my rotary, and shunt balance again and keep firing my rotary. And I can't do this forever. I'm losing a little bit of energy, but I can do this for a very long time. This is a lot There's a lot of energy that I'm generating through my engine power. And so if you're ever just sitting around waiting for something to happen, you can always just balance shunt with your power and engines, and then suddenly you have max engine power and you can boost Gasp around without a care in the world on max power. It has similar characteristics with long dead drifts, like the Interceptor, which I won't show because it's going along. Now, one thing that I warn you, which I should have warned you about on the X-Wing and the Y-Wing as well, Y-Wing especially, is when you put your power away from engines, you have a lot of decay. You have a lot of engine decay. And there's one more thing about shunting to engines that I also must warn you about. If you shunt to engines and you don't have any power in engines, you lose a lot of boost. So what happens in multiplayer when you have lag? Okay, so in multiplayer when you have lag, here's what happens. If you need to shunt to engines and then you need to boost immediately, here's what happens. You shunt to engines, but the server doesn't recognize it for about a second. So you get a situation like this, where you shunt to engines, you wait a second, you lose a boost bar, and then you start boosting, and then you're down 2 boost bars. So how do you avoid this? Every time you shunt to engines, when you're not in the middle of boost skipping, when you don't already have some boost power in engines, put your power into engines, or boost energy into engines, put your power into engines, then shunt, then start drifting around, and then if you want to, you can put your power back into weapons. All right, so I'm gonna tell you again what happens. If you shunt into engines when you have no power in engines online, you will get this, where it takes about a second for your client to register that the shunt actually happened, at which point you've already lost 1 or 2 bars of boost energy. So you put your power into engines, you shunt your energy into engines, and then you start boosting. And then you start boost skipping, and you start evading, and you have a lot more energy to work with in order to reach the safety of your hangar, or boost into the dangers of the enemy shield generator, where they're probably going to all dogpile you and murder you. So that is the TIE Bomber. Let's look at the TIE Defender. TIE Defender charges boost insanely quickly, 3 seconds. It also spends boost insanely quickly, 3 seconds. Or less, I'm not even sure. It charges weapons insanely quickly, it charges shields and somewhat slowly if you're using fortified shields. Same speed as an X-Wing actually on the shield regeneration. So how do you do it? How do you use it? You do this. Same old boost skipping techniques, same old boost gasping techniques with a twist. When you boost gasp, there is a long delay before you need to put your power back into engine. So I'm gonna boost, cancel my boost, 1, 2, 3, 2.5-ish seconds before I started losing any engine energy, as you can see. Let's do it again. 1, 2, so about 2 seconds. It's about 2 seconds before you can see 1, 2, your engine energy regenerating. So the way that you take advantage of this is you spend a lot of time boost skipping, and then you only put your power back into engines when you need that extra energy. And you can even let your energy passively decay while you're doing like a long dead drift for damage, because you don't really need the extra energy because you regenerate it so fast. So I do this, I even let my energy decay a little bit so I can have a little more power in weapons, and then I put my power back into engines to recharge, and then back into weapons to continue my barrage on the MC-75. And this is what makes Defender so powerful. It's not drifting, it's not the ridiculous speed, it's not the ridiculous, it's not having 1400 shields. It's the fact that boost energy is so freaking free to recharge, and your weapon energy is also so free to recharge. If the Defender had 400 shields on each side, it would still be extremely difficult to take down, because it can move in this very, very invasive way with extremely high maneuverability, with a ton of boost energy. and it has extremely small periods of vulnerability, followed by long periods of essentially invulnerability. You can see how I can essentially orbit the MC-75 in ways that the Rebel ships, even the A-Wing, cannot dream to do with the amount of boost generation that they have. The A-Wing cries every time it sees a defender doing this for 5 minutes at a time. And randos cry every time they see me doing this around their MC-75. So, that is, I believe, all I have to offer about boost skipping and boost gasping. One other note. So let's look at the gameplay example. So I'm going to show the gameplay from my SCL League match against Skull Squadron. So we are on a last-ditch offense against the enemy Star Destroyer. Apologies for the kind of low video quality. Best I can manage from my Twitch stream. So I start with some pretty evasive boost skipping to get in range. I only use a couple of boost bars for that. I do some more boost skipping to get a loop in on this Star Destroyer shield gen. You can see it's pretty hard to hit me while I'm doing this. Quick note, that conch missile did miss, so when you're doing these loops, be careful to fire your conch missile late into the run like this, so that it actually does hit the shield gen or whatever you're aiming at. So doing these loops, right, very evasive. I keep putting my power into engines every time I start to lock on to a gen, so that I can regenerate that extra boost energy in order to get as much boost energy as possible, in order to boost skip as much as possible, in order to be as evasive as possible. One thing I do here a lot is I loop back in the same direction I came from, and that makes me very, very hard to track. You'll see on the sides here, there are a lot of times when you see fighters flying past me, interceptors flying past me. Like I'm getting shot a little from the back here, so I go up, I go up, I go up, and then I go back down again. And you see those guys, they just flew right past me. And here is a very simple technique where you just, you draw a square around the neck of the ISD, and they just can't track you because you're behind them. You're behind cover all the time. So when you're using these techniques, cover is your friend, cover is your friend, cover is your friend. Just like CSGO, just like Overwatch, just like any FPS, having a lot of cover saves you all the time. I go for a weak point here, and then I immediately try to duck under. Go for a weak point, and I think I immediately try to duck over, or I just double back. Yep, I duck over. There's a little bit of a issue there with the clipping, but that's fine. I didn't take any damage, so we're fine there. Yep, and then I boost in for this last weak point. I'm alive. Everyone else on my team is basically dead, and I don't even die here. I just boost extension, and I get out. One thing I glossed over here a lot, guys, is that boost extension is a really, really fantastic component, because it lets you get a lot more of that evasive boost skipping in, and boost gasping lets you get to that point where you can get your boost extension back off of cooldown, so you can get that extra power. So that's it, guys. That's all I have for you on boost skipping and boost gasping. Thank you all for watching the stream, and like and subscribe. Show your friends, show Reddit. I'll show Reddit, don't worry about that. And have a fantastic night, guys. Smash that like button, that's right.